In this lesson, we just want to explore some other formatting options that we have available to work with, for example, the rows, but also with the columns, actually independently. But well, for this, let's do this directly in a report. So let's open the transaction to change reports, inside Report Painter, Report, and here we have change. So let's start this one. The report that we will use for this demo is going to be the horizontal page. Actually, as we have been saying, we want to modify some things for the columns, and also we want to modify some things for the rows. So first, to really have a full effect for the rows, let's expand this only row that we have. So let's explode the value. So let's select here primary costs and just edit rows explode, and well, we will select expand. Okay, now we have the details, but well, the first thing that now that we want just to modify is we want to highlight the values for that row. So that just means we want to have like an underscore and an overscore for the row, for the subtotal row. So let's select primary costs, and let's just come here at the top to the formatting menu, and of course let's just go with row. Now we can even like have different color, even reverse design, but right now we don't want, sometimes when we modify so many things, and especially if it's all been done just in one line, it's detrimental. So let's just select that we want to highlight this using an overscore and an underscore. And again, the change will just will look immediately. We will have like access to the change immediately, because now, as you can see, we have the nice separation of that row. But that is not the only thing we want to check. We want to work also with the columns, and we want to show that we can actually have inside one report we can have different formatting for different columns, and that has to do with the format group. As you can see, the actual column and the plan column both have 0, and actually the variance also has 0. This is because, well, what we can do is we can switch the columns to different formatting groups, and then we can modify the settings for the formatting groups. So for example, just for this test, we will modify first the variance. We will set this up in a separate format group. So let's select the column, and again, let's now just come to formatting, and we will click here on columns. So it's a bit different, the pop-up, especially because we have that concept of the format group. So the first thing that we want to do to show this is to assign this column to a separate format group. So instead of being in format group 0, we'll have this in format group 1. So, well, to really have the change, we need to assign. So let's click here, just assign. And as you can see, well, now the change is immediate. We have this column in a separate format group. But let's do the same for the actual and plan. We will assign both of them to formatting group 2. So the first with the first one selected, let's come here to formatting, columns, and we will assign to this plan column to format group 2. And let's do the same for the actual column. So formatting, columns, and let's switch this to format group 2. Okay, now we have only like changed the formatting group for the columns, but now let's actually change the values. So for the variance column, we want this we want to expand this. So let's select columns, and instead of 14, let's have this up to 20. And in the variance, we don't care so much about the decimal places, so we won't modify that. The scaling factor is also fine. We will just modify that value. So that's fine. And now, well, as you can see, it immediately expands. But what's interesting also is that both of these columns, the actual and plan, they belong to the same formatting group. So whatever we change for one of the columns, I mean, because the other is also assigned to the same formatting group, will also come into effect. So let's select here columns. And actually, well, we went even more with here for this. So let's go with 25. And we also want 2 decimal places for the values in these columns in plan and actual. So once we have done that, let's just continue. Well, actually, sorry. Yes, it's the maximum is 21. And we'll have it very similar, but also the main difference, we will have the decimals. Here we won't have the decimals. And the line is already like with the underscore and overscore. So well, let's just save this. It makes no much sense to check it because we didn't modify anything except just formatting. So also again, here it's evident that the change is also applied to both columns because they belong to the format group. So let's just see if this is true. Let's execute this. Let's just wait for it to finish the generation of the report groups. I'm compiling. And in the parameter screen, we won't modify anything right now. Nothing, so let's just execute. Okay, so, well, as you can see, well, if we scroll down, you can immediately see we have the underscore and overscore correctly set up. And also, we have the width correctly set up for the columns, but also the decimal section here for actual and plan, we have 2 decimals. And for the variance, we really don't care much about the decimals, so everything is just up to 2 digits, sorry, up to no decimal digits there, and here up to 2 decimal digits for both for actual and plan. So again, we can directly in the report without modifying the layout, we can modify some settings for the formatting, and well, that is pretty much what we wanted to show in this one. So let's just go back and let's just quit this transaction just to finish the lesson. And as always, we just want to keep like inviting you to keep running with all of our trainings.